Right now on Morning News Now, questions and concerns as the new Trump administration takes shape. This morning, most of the selections for the president-elect's key cabinet positions have been made, with some of the more controversial picks now facing an uphill confirmation battle in Congress.
I want to make a decision on each one of them on the merits, and I can't do that without the background checks.
Plus, immigrant groups bracing for mass deportations, a centerpiece of the Trump campaign. We will bring you the latest. Also this morning, a violent exchange in the Middle East. Israel and Hezbollah trading attacks, leaving dozens dead and many others wounded. All this as efforts grow to reach a ceasefire deal. We will bring you the very latest. Plus, holiday headache. This morning, nearly 80 million travelers bracing for what could be the busiest travel week ever, with not one but two storm systems threatening to dampen Thanksgiving dinner plans. And from food recalls to supply shortages, why your holiday spread might look a little different this year. Plus, it's a stunning glimpse of the world we live in through the lens of some of the most talented photographers. We'll flip through some of National Geographic's pictures of the year, something you will most certainly want to see a little later in the hour. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on a Monday and kicking off your Thanksgiving week with us. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe's off this morning. We're going to begin with President-elect Donald Trump rapidly filling out his administration with his picks. Trump has tapped right-leaning think tank President Brooke Rollins to lead the Agriculture Department and hedge fund executive Scott Bessent to serve as Treasury Secretary. The pair join a list of controversial picks expected to face pushback during the Senate confirmation process. That includes his selection for Attorney General. We've talked about this one, Pam Bondi, who, among other things, has promoted false claims about the outcome of the 2020 election. Also, Director of National Intelligence nominee, that's Tulsi Gabbard, and questions over her ties to foreign adversaries. And Defense Department nominee Pete Hegseth, who has come under fire for an alleged sexual assault in 2017, which he denies and was not charged in, but did pay a settlement to his accuser. For more, we are joined on set by NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard. Vaughn, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Great to have you with us. So I want to start with these confirmation processes and what might happen here. There's some bipartisan criticism of some of these picks, but walk us through exactly what would need to happen for any of them to be held up. I mean, how much power could Democrats, for example, really have to hold any of this up? Right.
The confirmation process requires a simple majority in the U.S. Senate, and there's currently going to be 53 Republican senators. So theoretically, if you're looking to get confirmed, you could lose the support of every Democrat and then 3 Republican senators. But there's several of these individuals, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Mitch McConnell included, who may be roadblocks to some of these nominees. It's in large part why we saw Matt Gaetz, the Attorney General picked by Donald Trump, ultimately take his name out of the running out of concerns that he wasn't going to be able to get those 51 votes. And if you were a Pete Hegseth or a Tulsi Gabbard or even a RFK, right, that is where some of the concern is, in some cases, bipartisan. And, you know, you may, though, also like the labor secretary pick that Donald Trump put forward, may actually have the support of some Democrats, but not Republicans. So this is a really interesting math game here that we're going to be watching play out here for these next 2 months.
As we prepare to head into the confirmation stage, there is also a fight playing out over the vetting process here for some of these nominees. Tell us about this.
Right. Typically, through the transition process, there are memorandums of understanding that are signed between the transition team of the incoming presidential administration and the GSA in Washington, D.C., which opens up not only a pipeline of money to go to the transition so they can fund offices and they can essentially stand up a transition operation. But the other big part is ultimately FBI background checks and security clearances. And the Trump transition team right now, 3 weeks after his election, is still foregoing using the resources of the FBI background checks, which not only is of concern to senators up on Capitol Hill that are going to be the ones voting to confirm, but also there's questions like Pete Hegseth. He was named the Pentagon nominee, but it was in the days that followed that sexual assault allegation that came out from a Monterey police department in Colorado or in California. So this is where some of the concerns are about what the FBI may have on some of these individuals in their file that the Trump transition team doesn't know about and senators up on Capitol Hill don't either.
Vaughn, our viewers may remember something called Project 2025, something that the president had disavowed, the president-elect, I should say, had disavowed, but it's come into play a little bit here. Remind us what that is and what the connection is now, what we're seeing play out. Right.
It was a 900-page book that was essentially a template for not only the what would be a Trump transition, but also a second Trump White House. And it was 900 pages that was authored by a litany of former Trump administration officials. And when it came out, Donald Trump tried to distance himself because polling suggested that Americans were not too fond of some of the policy proposals inside of it. And yet many of these were key allies of his. Well, fast forward here since his election, a great many of those very authors who were involved in that project are coming in to work in his administration. The latest one, on Friday night, he tapped Russ Vought, who is going to be his OMB director, who is one of those key authors. It's talked about the executive use of the presidency. He is going to be brought into the administration. So while Donald Trump is campaigning, try to distance himself from the project, he's doing exactly what a lot of Democrats said would likely happen, and that is he's utilizing not only the work that they produced, but also those personnel individuals that were behind the project for his next administration.
And is there a concern moving forward? Like, what if this were to be followed to an extent, what could happen next?
I think that this is where, for Donald Trump has even said himself, is that in his first administration, they felt like they ultimately were not able to work as efficiently because they were new to Washington. They brought in a lot of newcomers, a lot of new voices. And the reason why Project 2025 could be so useful to him and his administration is that it is an outline of how each department and federal government agency can be more efficiently run. Essentially, it's an outline about how they can make use of their next 4 years in office more efficiently. And that is why, for Donald Trump, it could be very beneficial because it is an exact kind of an agenda of how they can go and actually get the work done that they've long campaigned and talked about.
Vaughn Hilliard, thank you for kicking us off this hour. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Well, as the president-elect's cabinet takes shape, some top Democrats are speaking out about the nominees in the incoming administration, as Vaughn just laid out. NBC News Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker has more.
Hello there, Savannah. This week on Meet the Press, I spoke to Senator-elect Adam Schiff about how he will vote on President-elect Trump's cabinet picks as a new senator. Let me ask you big pictures. Obviously, President-elect Trump has now said he wants to pick Pam Bondi to serve as his attorney general. He has swept the battleground states. He won the popular vote. Republicans have control of the House and of the Senate. Do you think that the president-elect should have his picks confirmed?
Well, I think the president has a right to nominate anyone who's qualified, who has good judgment and good character. It doesn't mean he's guaranteed Senate approval of whoever he nominates, and some of these nominees are deeply problematic. I'll be interested in the confirmation process. Will Pam Bondi continue to tell the big lie even under oath? Is she going to continue to say that the Justice Department should be prosecuting prosecutors who brought valid evidence before a grand jury found probable cause to believe Donald Trump committed crimes? That's not a basis to go after them. So she's going to have to answer tough questions. Tulsi Gabbard concerns me a great deal, that someone who has echoed Kremlin talking points, someone who has appeared to make common cause with someone like Bashar al-Assad, who gasses his own people, someone who has no experience whatsoever, not even on the Intelligence Committee in the Congress, should be running those agencies. So they're going to have tough questions to answer.
You can see my full interview and a lot more at MeetThePress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
All right, Kristen Welker, thank you so much. Well, with lawmakers like Senator-elect Adam Schiff already bracing for tough confirmation battles, we wanted to bring in NBC News chief political analyst Chuck Todd to dig further into this, talk about some of these picks. Chuck, always great to have you with us. Good morning. So you wrote this column, you talked about this political capital concept, that President-elect Trump is using this capital when it comes to these more controversial cabinet picks. We saw, of course, what happened already with Matt Gaetz. He withdrew his nomination. But we've got these other controversial ones still, right? Even when it comes to Republicans, Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, they're still in the running for these respective nominations. Do you think it's worth it, the way that this is playing out, for Mr. Trump to have to keep kind of using this capital, making these personal calls to people on the Hill for these picks?
Well, I think what he's doing is he's accelerating what political capital he needs to use for personnel. And the question is, when you look at the realistic chances he has of passing major legislation, he's got one term. which means he's going to be a lame duck in the last 2 years of his one term. These are two sort of, think of it as sort of like there's two 2-year terms, sort of mini terms here for him. And the first 2 years, just like Joe Biden, is going to be filled with trying to get this big tax revision of the tax code done and made permanent. And he's likely to make it one giant bill, right? When you have these narrow majorities in Congress, you have to do it that way. Well, that's going to be a lot of political capital that he's going to have to use to get that stuff passed. Just remember how tough it was for Joe Biden. There's going to be plenty of people who play the role of Joe Manchin on the Republican side. So he's got all that to do. The longer he spends trying to convince Republicans to walk the plank on some of these nominees that, while in the moment may not be as negative in the polls, but over time may become politically problematic, he makes it that much harder to get his agenda passed. So that's the thing, and I think that they're not seeing the long-term game here. But Donald Trump has always been Mr. Short-Term.
I think Gates withdrawing his nomination, I think Mr. Trump has made kind of a name for himself, prides himself in not really backing down from something. But if you just don't have the votes, he doesn't have the votes. And I understand he called Gates with the news that he did not have those votes in the Senate to be confirmed. Do you think that the way that situation unfolded, could we see a repeat of that? Would it make Mr. Trump reconsider some of his other controversial cabinet picks, like let's talk about Pete Hegseth, in order to avoid the chance that they will not be confirmed, or that he even kind of calls it in prior?
Well, Savannah, loyalty is one way with him. And I say that, and I think Matt Gaetz knew that going in. Look, he will fight until he decides it's not worth the fight. I mean, and I think that when it comes to Gaetz and Hegseth, doing both of them at the same time was going to get quite difficult. But, I would be surprised if every single nominee he has now all get sworn in. I assume one or two more end up, for one reason or the other. He could sour on them himself. He may not like how things are going. And I think both Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth, let's see how these confirmation hearings themselves go. And if they don't go well, he's willing to pull the plug on people if he doesn't think they're good enough to fight.
Chuck, you mentioned the word loyalty. In some ways, these picks seem to be challenging that concept, right, for some Republican members of Congress, on whether their loyalty to Trump can overrule essentially what they think is best for the government before he's even started this second term. Walk us through kind of the tension there, what this means for some of these Republicans on Capitol Hill. Before Mr. Trump has even stepped into that second term, they're having to think about, are they going to go against him in some way and not voting for these picks?
Well, look, it is difficult. His base is very loyal to the president-elect. That said, he's never going to be on a ballot again, Savannah. And so I think his ability to essentially, hold that issue over the head of a senator, I think is not going to be as persuasive as it was, or it could be, if he was going to be on the ballot again, particularly for senators that are up in 26. Look, it depends on what your state you're from. I think those that are the redder the state, the more I think the president-elect and his base will be able to be a bit more persuasive to senators. But if you're from a state where the general election is the difference between whether you win or lose, a North Carolina, a Maine, things like that. I'm referring to a couple of senators who I expect to be opposing a lot of the president-elect's nominees. I think that's going to be a poll, too. So that's why I think there really is a smaller window than the president-elect believes when it comes to his ability to have political power and persuasion over his party.
Chuck, I wonder, I love the way that you're putting this, essentially like two mini terms, and somebody who does not have to campaign again, who maybe also, therefore, doesn't have to continue to appeal to a base in the way that he did to get elected again. Do you think that means that anything in those 4 years kind of surprising happens? Something that maybe the president-elect, then president, will be thinking, you know what, I don't have to campaign again, but maybe it's not going to be so popular with my base, but might be more popular broadly?
I think it's very possible. I mean, look how close he came to cutting a deal with Chuck Schumer that was DACA for the wall, if you recall, basically a pathway to citizenship for those that were brought here as children who were undocumented in exchange for essentially Democratic support to fund the wall. It was out there for a day or two. I think that was a real deal if Schumer would have done it, and I think he felt like it was a bit too much. And my guess is those around President Trump back then were relieved that he backed off, because it probably wouldn't have been popular with his base, and he was going to be on the ballot again. Look, it's possible, and I think the one thing about Donald Trump that can be good if you're supportive of him, can be bad if you're supportive of him but have real sort of long-held principles. He's transactional. Anything can be on the table at any given moment. It all depends on that moment. And so when I say that's why I think you're seeing a lot of people already right now looking like they want to work with him, because I think they all know he can be negotiated with. It just all depends on if you're willing to pay the price.
Chuck Todd, we always appreciate you spending time with us. Good to see you. Thanks very much.
You got it. Thanks, Savannah.
Well, Thanksgiving, it's not until Thursday, but it's just a couple days away. And what's expected to be one of the busiest travel weeks in history is already in high gear. AAA predicts that nearly 80 million Americans will travel more than 50 miles from home over the holiday, with 90% of them driving to their destinations. However, several parts of the country are in for some rough weather, which could cause major delays and some dangerous conditions. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda has the details from the New Jersey Turnpike. Hey, Emily.
Hey there. Well, Thanksgiving is the busiest holiday for travel. So perhaps unsurprisingly, we're expecting nearly 80 million people to crisscross the country to celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday over the next week or so. And the vast majority of them are doing this. They're hitting the road. They're getting behind the wheel. And one of the main motivating factors is the gas prices that we're seeing. Some of the lowest numbers in years. We're down about 25 cents compared to this time last year for the national average gallon of gas. Now, a point of concern for officials heading into this week is the bad weather. Over the weekend, we saw the West get pounded by heavy snow and heavy rain. Communities still reeling from that weather. It also snarled air travel. More than 17,000 flights were delayed or canceled since Friday. Unfortunately, there is more bad weather on the way for an even wider swath of the country, and it's could impact major airport hubs like D.C., Philadelphia, and New York. So experts say if you're looking to cut down on some of the trouble, some of the lines at the airports, you want to know what you can and perhaps more importantly cannot bring in your carry-on. If you can spread it, spill it, pour it, or pump it, officials say, then you cannot be bringing it in your carry-on. It is not a solid and it needs to be checked in your bag when it comes to those Thanksgiving fixings. One other thing that I will add, other modes of transportation are actually surging in popularity, including cruises. Cruise bookings, according to AAA, are up 20% compared to last year. Back to you.
All right, there you go. Emily, thank you so much. See you in a bit. Well, now let's get a check of our morning news now weather and find out what's in store for this week. Meteorologist Michelle Grossman is here. She's tracking those different systems that might impact your holiday travel. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hey there, Savannah. Great to see you. And as Emily mentioned, we have two systems that we're watching. The first one is an early week storm. It's going to be on the weaker side. It's going to move off the coast the next couple of days. But for today, we're going to see some snow in the UP of Michigan, the northern Great Lakes, parts of the upper Midwest. And it's going to be a quick shot of rain as well. This will move off to the northeast tomorrow, bringing some beneficial rain to parts in the northeast. It's this coast-to-coast storm that's going to cause some issues by the northeast, into the northeast by Thanksgiving Day. Today, we are looking at once again at that valley rain, the mountain snow. This has been such an issue in the West. We've been so unsettled. So that California flood threat does continue. We're looking at accumulating snow for the Sierra Mountains, the Rockies, the Cascades, and we're looking at that Thanksgiving Day mess into the Northeast by Thanksgiving. So today and tomorrow, this is that first storm, the coast-to-coast storm developing, targeting the Rockies, the Cascades, also the Sierra Nevada Mountains, and we're going to see difficult travel because we'll see those winds really whipping as well. Then by Wednesday, we're going to see the storm intensifying. It's going to grow in size as well. So notice all this green down to the southeast, the Tennessee Valley, into parts of the interior parts parts of the Northeast, also the Ohio Valley. But notice the pinks and blues also. We're going to see some freezing precipitation in parts of the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes. That's going to create some tricky travel. And then that blue, that is some snow. So yes, there'll be snow mixing in as well. And unfortunately, this is what Thanksgiving Day looks like. We have parades going on. We saw people traveling to their destinations. And we have the chance for precipitation from New England all the way down to portions of the Tennessee Valley into the southeast. We are looking at some snow even along the Great Lakes into the interior parts of the Northeast, parts of New England as well. Bitterly cold in the northern plains, the upper Midwest. Temperatures only in the 20s, 34 in Casper. Sunny Southwest, that's a nice day there. And we're looking dry. That's the good news in parts of the West with 60 degrees in San Francisco. If you're headed back after your Thanksgiving Day holiday, we are looking at lake effect snow on Friday throughout the Great Lakes. Really nice in the Northeast. We're looking at dry conditions there and then more snow, Savannah, in the northern plains or the Intermountain West. And that's going to move into the Central Plains by Saturday.
I just want some snow in New York.
I know. Wouldn't that be nice on Thanksgiving morning?
I know it would.
It'll be here.
Maybe soon. All right.
And then we'll be complaining about it.
I won't.
You love it?
Joe will.
I will.
Thanks, Michelle.
Sure.
See you in a bit. Well, let's turn now to overseas news. Israel and Hezbollah traded heavy attacks over the weekend amid intensifying efforts to reach a ceasefire deal. On Saturday, Israel launched a powerful strike on the Lebanese capital, Beirut. It killed at least 29 people. And then on Sunday, Hezbollah retaliated by firing a barrage of rockets toward Israel, wounding several people. The Israeli military says most of the projectiles were intercepted, though some landed near Tel Aviv. And last night, the IDF carried out a new wave of airstrikes in Beirut, destroying multiple buildings, with the bombardment continuing this morning. We have NBC News correspondent Hala Gourani joining us from Jerusalem. Hala, good morning. So tell us about this deadly weekend in Lebanon. Tell us more about what we saw as this fire was exchanged between Hezbollah and Israel.
Well, Savannah, you outlined it there. It was an extremely deadly weekend with strikes in central Beirut by the Israeli military. It was a rarity just a few months ago for the IDF to strike in the central parts of the Lebanese capital. They focused more on the southern suburbs as well as on southern Lebanon. But now the Israeli military, as you mentioned, they're hitting some central neighborhoods, killing almost 30 people over the weekend. And in retaliation and in that crossfire, Hezbollah launching more than 200 rockets into Israel, hitting the northern parts of Israel, central parts, but also as far south as on the outskirts of Tel Aviv. And this is all happening against that backdrop of speculation and reports and some statements from officials that we are nearing a potential ceasefire deal between Israel and Hezbollah. Savannah.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. Exactly, Hala. There's been some progress there, right, over this potential ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel on that front of this war. This is following a visit to the region by a top U.S. envoy last week. Is there still optimism there? I mean, you just explained quite a deadly couple of days. What are we hearing this morning in light of that?
So in the statements, there's optimism. In practice and on the ground, there is actually an intensifying battle between the two sides. Now, Amos Hochstein is the U.S. envoy to the region. He has been reported as saying that we are closer to a deal than we were in the past. We also heard from the Israeli ambassador to the United States, Ambassador Herzog, who told Army Radio that there are reasons to be optimistic about getting closer to a deal. That being said, we've heard that in the past. These could be statements and leaks that are made to try to put pressure on one side or the other. And certainly in practice and on the ground, we are not seeing any type of sort of lessening of the strike pattern from either side. In fact, it's quite the opposite, Savannah.
Hala, this morning we're also getting new warnings. This is just about the dire conditions within Gaza. UN, other aid groups, they're talking about conditions facing these displaced Palestinians as the seasons change. The first rains of the winter just arrived. Our NBC News crew in Gaza captured some of the conditions yesterday. What are we seeing?
So I am here in Jerusalem, and yesterday I can tell you that it was raining, that the winds were very strong. We were freezing here in Jerusalem, so you can only imagine, and we're dressed properly for the weather and we have shelter. So you can only imagine what it's like for people in makeshift tents and displaced people's camps, having to, for now more than a year, live in terrible conditions without sanitation, without running water, on sand, essentially, because one of the safe zones that has been struck, by the way, by IDF fire is essentially on a beach. They are really going through a tough time right now, and they're bracing for another brutal winter, Savannah.
All right, Hala, thank you very much for your reporting. There's much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, something you might not be so thankful for this holiday, several food recalls and also a supply shortage. It could disrupt your Thanksgiving dinner plans. What you need to know before you head to the store. First, though, after the break, a new battle at the southern border. More on how immigrant groups are preparing for a Trump presidency. That's next. Welcome back. While the plans for a second Trump term continue to come into focus, there are big questions about what could happen to mixed status families, as they're called, if those mass deportations are carried out. A mixed status family, that means some family members are undocumented while others are U.S. citizens. Well, the American Immigration Council, a pro-immigration advocacy group, estimates up to 4 million mixed status families could be separated. Now, mass deportations, of course, became one of Mr. Trump's biggest campaign promises. It's still unclear exactly how those deportations will be carried out and how families will be impacted. But we're getting some information. And we have NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joining us with her latest reporting here. Julia, good morning. So you've reported exclusively this month on a bunch of this stuff here, but that the Trump transition team specifically is eyeing new detention centers near major U.S. cities, with the goal being to hold double the amount of migrants awaiting deportation after their arrests inside the U.S. Walk us through exactly what that means. Double what? What is that number? What does that mean we might see? Are we getting a clearer image of how this is going to go down?
Right. So right now, the Congress has given ICE the ability to be able to hold 41,000 immigrants in ICE detention at one time. That doesn't mean that they can't deport more, because it's a place where they hold them before they are deported. And right now, a lot of that space is being used for migrants who have just crossed the border, they're detained, and then released later for a court date. This would use those beds in the opposite direction and double them up to 80,000. And honestly, Savannah, since that reporting, I've heard the number could be even higher. And they're in talks with private prison companies to figure out what they can do to get the most amount of beds online soon. That might mean building temporary facilities or soft-sided facilities. They've used this in the past along the border when there's an influx in order to get as many people in beds as possible. This would be for migrants who are living in the United States and are arrested and are being held before their deportation flights.
So, Julia, given what we know, I just used that term mixed status family. So some family members, U.S. citizens, others undocumented. Are we hearing what those types of people, what those groups of people are doing to plan for this?
And this is where I have to give credit to Didi Martinez, who wrote this amazing story over the weekend. I can report on these details, but Didi really gets to the heart of this. She interviewed a family, and there are many like them. We understand up to 4 million across the country that could be separated. This family she talked to in Pennsylvania is preparing for the possibility that the husband, the father of these children, could be deported. And so the mother is busy getting her children's passports. As you know, you have to have 2 parents present to get a child's passport. They're doing things like getting power of attorney. In some households, we're told, where both parents could be deported but the children are U.S. citizens, they're putting together packets with adult contacts, where to find the nearest family member if they come home from school to an empty home. Savannah.
Julia, walk us through any legal challenges that could play out once President-elect Trump is in office, and if we do start to see these mass deportations take place.
Well, there are many being prepared quietly in the background. We saw just last week the ACLU filed for freedom of information to try to get more information about what the Trump transition team is going to use for their flights when they start doing these deportations. We can expect that they're going to be very closely looking at how Trump tries to go about this. If he does enact an old law from the 1700s that would constitute immigration in the United States as an alien invasion from a foreign power, they'll very quickly challenge that, saying that's unconstitutional because clearly these migrants are not coming on behalf of a foreign government, that would be a real stretch for the Trump team to try to make that argument. They'll also look at other things, like if there are ways they go about this when they want to invoke the military, anytime that they want to push anyone back to a country that is not their own. We've seen the previous Trump administration try that in the past, take nationalities and send them to a country like Guatemala, even though if they're not from Guatemala. There are a number of ways they'll challenge it. Whether or not they can just deport someone or challenge someone just for deporting them, that seems like more of a stretch. But it's the way they'll go about it. They'll find ways to challenge it in court.
Julia Ainsley, fabulous reporting as always. Thank you very much. Well, coming up, back in the spotlight, the Menendez brothers set to appear before a judge decades after being convicted of their parents' murder. The hearing set for today that could lead to their freedom. And a Thanksgiving dinner dilemma. We'll tell you about several recalls and shortages that could impact your plans this holiday. Sorry about that early morning shot of raw ground beef. This is Morning News Now. We're back now with the latest on the legal fight for the Menendez brothers. This morning, Eric and Lyle Menendez are set to make their first court appearance in decades when they will appear virtually for a status hearing in Los Angeles. This is the latest stage in their fight nearly 30 years after they were sentenced to life without parole for murdering their parents in their Beverly Hills mansion. They claim they acted in self-defense after years of alleged sexual abuse at the hands of their father. Of course, you know, recent documentaries and dramatizations, Netflix series have reignited interest in the case. We have NBC News legal analyst Danny Savala here to break this all down for us. Danny, good morning. So I know there's a lot going on here, a little confusing. So today they are set to appear. This is just via Zoom. They're in a prison in San Diego for this. But walk us through what's happening here. This is not the big potential resentencing or we could see them walk free or anything like that today. We'll talk about that in just a moment. What do we expect to see today? What's the purpose of this? Will we hear from the brothers?
For all those people who are reportedly waiting for a lottery sort of ticket to enter this appearance, this is not going to be, or at least it shouldn't be, that exciting of a hearing. If the brothers are appearing remotely, a status conference is normally a housekeeping event. The parties show up. Where are we? What direction are we going? What are the next dates? You deal with housekeeping issues typically at a status conference. Now, almost anything could theoretically happen at a status conference. Things happen, but it's not even a formal hearing. I wouldn't even expect evidence to be brought in or testimony to be had. And no, I wouldn't expect the brothers to say anything. I've done a million status conferences, and very rarely does the client have anything to say because it's mostly the lawyers and the judges working out scheduling. And this is on the habeas petition only. This is the newly discovered evidence prong of their 3 efforts to get out. And the DA's office hasn't even responded yet. So it could be said that this part of the procedure is in its infancy.
You mentioned that lottery system being used for tickets. I mean, this has obviously turned into so much hoopla around it. I mentioned there, of course, was a very popular Netflix scripted show that kind of brought this back into the spotlight. And for a lot of people, maybe familiarize them with the case for the first time. Now you have people who are trying, I mean, they're applying to get a ticket to get inside. How do you think all of this outside noise kind of impacts this? The fact that, like, fans all of a sudden have emerged based on these shows, so much so that they want a seat in the courtroom. Could that impact anything? Just how many people are there? How many people want to see them go free?
I can tell you that this kind of notoriety can and absolutely does impact it. And here's why. The brothers have 3 avenues to freedom. One is a habeas petition, the newly discovered evidence. That is standard. I've filed a bunch of them myself. That doesn't really have anything to do with all the hoopla going on. But the other 2, the resentencing and the request to the governor for clemency or a commutation of their sentence, those are almost entirely driven by the massive attention that they've gotten as a result of these documentaries and all these other things going on. They're the kind of thing that, as a criminal defense attorney, I've never had a DA, an elected DA, say, hey, you know your guys that are in prison, life without parole? I'm interested in getting them out. That is not what the DA's office typically does. So the answer to, does this kind of attention affect the outcome of cases? It absolutely does. These brothers have been in prison for decades, life without parole, on a case that I remember the original trial. They were not seen as sympathetic characters. So maybe it's the fact that society has changed its views on things like child abuse and trauma. But whatever the case may be, this increased attention must even have the Menendez brothers wondering, do we really have a shot at getting out?
Yeah, wow, that's a good way to put it. Quickly, this last one, just remind us what's going on with the DA, because there was one DA who, you know, was all over TikTok talking about this. He did not eventually be reelected to the position, so we have a new DA coming in. How does that impact how this could go down?
Right. I mean, the drama just increases because the outgoing DA was the one who expressed interest in having the brothers resentenced. But now that he's the outgoing DA, the incoming DA has indicated that he's got to take a look at everything, which is kind of a punt, but it means that he's going to take a look at the record and he may decide, I don't want these guys to get out. They don't deserve to get out, which, by the way, they were convicted and are serving life without parole. So he may reach that conclusion. And by the way, Governor Newsom has indicated he's going to wait to see what the incoming DA does. So this incoming DA is everything. Whatever he decides to do is going to have a huge effect, not on the habeas petition, but the resentencing part of it and the clemency part of it with the governor.
All right, 2 of the 3 chances.
2 of the 3 opportunities.
Danny Savalas, thank you. Certainly a talker. Let's turn now to the latest food recall emerging just days before Thanksgiving. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans has a look at the recent string of food safety concerns that have been impacting everything from fast food to baby carrots.
167,000 pounds of ground beef, potentially contaminated with E. coli, recalled after 15 illnesses were reported in Minnesota. Minnesota health officials linked the illnesses to ground beef from Wolverine Packing Company, a Detroit meat distributor. According to the USDA, the meat was shipped to restaurants nationwide and may still be in some freezers. In a statement, Wolverine says, quote, it has notified all customers that received products encompassed by the recall. It's just a day after the FDA expanded a recall of organic baby carrots, saying 15 people were hospitalized, 1 dead from E. coli. The carrots sold under dozens of brands, now including Whole Foods Market organic carrot sticks and organic carrots and celery. Renewed attention on food safety in the weeks since an E. coli outbreak at McDonald's linked to slivered onions sickened 104 people, killing 1. Each year, there are an estimated 48 million foodborne illnesses. Food safety expert Ben Chapman.
It's a terrible reminder for us about how much foodborne illness exists within our food supply.
He says potential causes include water and soil tainted with animal waste, dirty equipment, and poor worker hygiene. At home, consumers should be careful to cook meat thoroughly, 160 degrees for ground beef. But for contaminated produce, experts say washing alone isn't enough, adding, when in doubt, throw it out.
All right, thanks to Christine Romans for that report. We've got a couple more tips for you if you're planning to cook for any upcoming gatherings to stay as safe as possible. So make sure you wash everything. Christine just mentioned if it's contaminated, might not do the trick, but make sure you do wash what you've got. Separate raw meat from other food, and then cook food, as she just said, to those USDA recommended temperatures. Check out what those are. Also, refrigerate whatever you don't use as soon as you are done with it. Well, if you, like that story was just suggesting, now we're at the grocery store this weekend. It was wall-to-wall people, wasn't it, getting ready for Thanksgiving? One popular, though, and necessary ingredient might have been hard for you to find. That's because the U.S. is currently dealing with an egg shortage. And on top of that, egg prices are spiking. NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra explains why.
In parts of the country, empty egg shelves spotted at stores this weekend in Denver, Miami, New York, and in some cases, signs asking customers to limit the number of eggs they buy because of difficulty sourcing. The biggest factor, bird flu, hitting 48 states over the last 2 years.
Bird flu is by far the biggest factor impacting egg prices right now. In the last couple months alone, we've seen about 10 million birds affected by the virus.
How does that translate to the consumers visiting their grocery stores?
We still have a very strong supply of eggs in the supply chain, but we may see isolated pockets where supplies are not as readily available.
Most recently, outbreaks have been seen in Utah, Washington, and Oregon. The USDA citing bird flu as the reason for slowed egg production, down over 2.5% from last year.
When those producers in a given state are disrupted, this can result in some isolated shortages in certain areas. And I think that's what we're seeing across the country right now.
And although you might not see empty shelves at your store, you might have noticed something else. Egg prices, while not the highest they've been in recent years, the average price of a dozen eggs this fall over $1.30 more expensive than last year.
Could we see egg prices rise even more?
So the thing about avian influenza is it's in a constant state of change. As we see these changes in the uptick in the outbreaks, we ride the waves, the ebb and flow of this virus.
That ebb and flow means prices may stay worse through the new year before they eventually get better. Marissa Parra, NBC News.
Coming up, 'tis the season for spending, right? When we come back, the new holiday shopping survey offering some optimism for America's economy. And it's a new trend in online thrifting, how one startup is working to keep old furniture out of the landfill. That's next on Morning News Now. Back now with some financial headlines. Black Friday just days away, and a new survey is showing Americans are set to spend big this weekend. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Savannah, good morning to you. Yeah, so shoppers are expected to spend an average of $650 between Black Friday and Cyber Monday. That's up 15% from last year, and it's according to a new survey out today from Deloitte. Now, for the entire holiday shopping season, consumers are projected to spend just under $1,200. That's up 8% from 2023, and they say they're willing to spend more, even as higher costs continue to weigh on their wallets. About 80% of retailers expect sales growth this season, helped by traffic both in-store and online. Washington is the friendliest state for small businesses, according to a new survey from Bankrate. Now, it ranks states based on 6 broad categories: small business activity, availability of labor, business costs, access to capital, infrastructure, and policy and regulation. Now, Washington ranked high in labor, access to capital, and business activity. It's followed by Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, and Nevada in the top 5. And Kendrick Lamar surprise dropped his new album, GNX, on Friday, and it's sparking reaction all over the internet. McDonald's sharing a meme of its honey mustard dipping sauce with a nod to Kendrick shouting mustard in the song TV Off. Now, that caught the attention of DJ Mustard, who's credited on the track. He posted he's loving it on X. Amazon Music, the NFL, and even Shrek also making posts referencing that lyric, Savannah.
All right, Silvana, thank you so much. Love it. Let's stay on some money news. Apparel companies, you might have heard of these like Poshmark, Depop, and ThredUp. They are thriving when it comes to online thrifting. But what if you could do the same for furniture? CNBC's Diana Olick explains in her ongoing series on climate startups, Clean Start. Diana, I love antiquing and buying secondhand furniture, so I love this concept. Good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Look, furniture waste contributes to carbon emissions. We know that. In the U.S. alone, we throw out roughly 12 million tons of furniture every year, leaving it to rot in a landfill. And most of it is less than 15 years old. Recycling furniture can be difficult, mostly because selling and moving it is such a pain. But what if it wasn't? Kathleen O'Brien Price bought her dining room table, TV console, and headboard from Apt Deco, a community-based online platform where people can buy and sell their furniture.
The world is kind of on fire, literally. And so anything that I can do to reduce my own footprint in the world is what I'm trying to do, like in all aspects of my life.
The New York-based startup provides pickup and delivery for the items, which sets it apart from competitors like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. AppDeco also works with major retailers like West Elm and Pottery Barn to sell floor models or resell items that have been returned.
By extending the life cycle of furniture overall, it's just better for the environment, whether it be, less wood being chopped out of forests to just the supply chain associated with producing that furniture.
While the furniture sells at as much as a 50% discount to new, the service comes at a price.
We earn a percentage that ranges from 15% to as high as 60%, depending on the product, the brand, the condition, and a lot of different variations that go into it.
The company operates everywhere in the U.S. except Alaska and Hawaii. Investors say its carrier network across so many markets makes its expansion potential very attractive.
Contributing to the circular economy through their logistics business is a great example of the types of climate adaptation companies that we see as having longevity in the next phase of climate tech.
In addition to initialized capital, AppDeco is backed by Comcast Ventures, Y Combinator, Hearst Lab, Great Oaks Venture Capital, and Soma Capital. Total funding so far, $14.5 million. Now, in the last 10 years since its launch, AppDeco's CEO says the company has offset over 19 million pounds of carbon dioxide from the environment. That's equivalent to around 6.5 million cars off the road. Savannah?
It's just amazing. The discount and you're doing something good for the planet. Win-win. I love it. Diana Olick, thank you so much. Well, coming up, spectacular shots of our wonderful world. Up next, we'll flip through some of National Geographic's Pictures of the Year. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. National Geographic has released its annual Pictures of the Year issue. It highlights the 20 most stunning images out of the more than 2 million photos taken over the year by photographers at National Geographic. Just look at these. We are going to dive into these. We are joined now by Sadie Quarrier. She's editorial director of integrated storytelling for National Geographic. Sadie, good morning. It's an honor to have you on with us as you reveal these pictures. This is so neat. And before we talk about some of the stunning individual pictures that we just showed, walk us through just the process of this. I mean, we just mentioned more than 2 million photos taken at National Geographic. How do you dwindle that down to just 20?
Yes, tough job. So these images were made by over 150 photographers. They were made on every single continent over the past year. I personally looked through 3,000 of them, but they are sent to me, submitted to me by our talented photo editing staff who are working on stories and National Geographic Society grant projects throughout the year, and they are whittling down and sending me their best. I get it down to a working group, maybe to about 40 or so, starting by summer. And then I send them down to our designer, and she prints them out, and we start looking at them. And really, there's something kind of critical to in that process of printing them out and putting them on the wall, because what you're looking for is an emotional response. We start with great light, strong compositions, meaningful moments. I want pictures that stop me and make me wonder. And once we get them printed, we're continuing to get images coming in from the field, and we're trying to kind of one-up ourselves, like what's come in that might be better than this. And you can kind of distance yourself from the image once it's printed and go, is that still standing up for me, or is that going to hit the cutting room floor and get replaced? It's kind of the sweetest part of the process is that final curation, and what we ended up with are 20 pictures.
Yes, what an incredible process. Let's take a look at some of these. So let's start with this one. Just incredible. I think I understand this is a photo of a scientist holding, you can see the hands there, what's a 70-day-old fetus of a rhino that was conceived through in vitro fertilization. Is that right? Tell us more about this picture.
That is right. This is just an iconic image made by photographer Amy Vitale, who's been covering the plight of the northern white rhinos for 15 years. And there are only 2 northern white rhinos left in the world, and they're both females. So researchers are racing against the clock to try to find a way to keep this species from going extinct. So they have tried several times with in vitro fertilization. This was, as you said, just a little 70-day-old northern white rhino fetus. We thought it was going to make it, but unfortunately, mom got sick. So they've made several attempts since then. Amy's actually featured in an upcoming documentary that we are doing about called The Rhino Resurrection. Wow. But I just think it's it really stops you. And while it's sort of a bittersweet image, I find it a very hopeful image for this species.
And it's neat when you learn something like that just by kind of investigating a little bit more what's going on in some of these pictures. I love this next one. Someone on your team caught this on camera. It shows a young emperor penguin jumping 50 feet off of this cliff. Explain this one to us.
Yes, so this is made by Bertie Gregory. We are in Antarctica here, and it's the first bravest little penguin chick jumping off a 50-foot cliff. Normally, these penguins are much closer to the water, just a couple feet. But for whatever reason, this colony is much higher up. And Bertie, for us, he was wearing many hats for this project. He was not only shooting a cover story, but he was also in front of camera and behind camera for an upcoming documentary that we have on Secrets of the Penguins. This picture was made from a drone, and the video footage of he survives, he or she survives, and then as you might expect, one penguin after the next starts jumping in, and we had an Instagram viral video that went viral, and I'm excited for everyone to see the video footage in this upcoming show.
So neat. Next up, I hear we've got maybe one of your favorites. Is that right? This is a photo of a tiny wood ant hatchling. What's the story behind this one?
Yes. Well, this was a picture made by Ingo Arndt, and he was working with the German university lab to make these pictures. He set up a little mini nest. Believe it or not, wood ants are protected in the country of Germany, and so you can't go digging in their anthill. So he was working with a lab that was already studying them. And so for 2 weeks, he watched all of their mating behavior and waited for this hatching moment. And he spent the whole day there trying to capture just this first moment of life outside of its a little cocoon.
Wow, just incredible. Okay, this next one. This is just wild detail of a river in Florida. Look at this one, everybody. What's happening here?
Yeah, this is, I thought this image was so dreamy. This is made by Jason Gully. And what you have is the mixing of the dark tannic waters of the Suwannee River, mixing with the clear waters of Fanning Spring. I asked him about that really beautiful blue that's happening at the top of the frame. We always want to get our color right. So I said, is that, what's happening there? And he said, this was just at dawn as the sun is rising. And he describes the Florida Springs water as achingly blue. And I just love, you've got these snook and mullet darting around. It's just, it's magical. And that's what I love about a lot of these images is they're bringing us worlds that we don't get to see. Yeah.
It's just amazing. That looks like a Pixar animation or something. I can't even believe that it's a photo. Yeah. Sadie Cora, you're just incredible work. Thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you for your time this morning. And everybody at home, you can take a closer look at all the beautiful pictures from this year's issue. It's online right now, and then you can take home a print copy when it comes out this December. Sadie, thank you very much, and happy holidays.
Thank you. You as well.
That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but the news continues right now. Good morning. Thank you for joining us and kicking off your Thanksgiving week here. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe's off today. Right now on Morning News Now, the turkey trot. It's kicking into high gear with millions of Americans taking to the highways and the skyways for a Thanksgiving holiday that could be one for the record books. So what can you expect on your way to Grandma's house this year? Our Michelle Grossman has her full forecast in just a moment. There's also some concern, though, around the Thanksgiving dinner table. What you need to know about a deadly new listeria outbreak tied to a brand of ready-to-eat meat products. We'll tell you how you can keep your family safe and healthy this holiday season. Also this morning, President-elect Donald Trump's upcoming administration coming into clearer focus as AG pick Pam Bondi faces an uphill battle on Capitol Hill, with Democrats pledging to put her rocky record in the spotlight before she's confirmed. More on that, as well as Mr. Trump's other cabinet picks now under intense scrutiny from lawmakers. Plus, we're taking a closer look at the fast food price wars and how some big sit-down restaurants are actually serving up deals that are cheaper than those you'd find at the drive-thru. So where can you find the best bang for your buck? We are digging in on that later in the hour. Thanks again for joining us. Happy holidays as we kick off our Thanksgiving week. We're going to start this morning with what is expected to be one of the busiest holiday travel weeks in history. Roughly 80 million Americans will travel more than 50 miles from home between tomorrow and next Monday, according to AAA, with 90% of us traveling by car to our destinations. It might not be smooth sailing for everyone, though, because some parts of the country, they're bracing for severe weather this week. That could, of course, put a damper on that holiday travel, especially on the roads. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa is in New Jersey. She's along the turnpike. That's certainly going to get busy. She joins us with more. Hey, Emily, good morning.
Hey there, Savannah. Good morning to you. You can expect even more cars on this roadway tomorrow as millions of Americans are set to crisscross the country. One of the driving factors here is the gas prices, some of the lowest numbers we've seen in a matter of years. And the stormy forecast could further complicate the massive travel rush both on the roadways and in the sky.
This morning, the Thanksgiving travel crush is officially underway.
Just coming into the airport, it took us, I don't know, half an hour to just get through.
With the holiday now just 3 days away, Americans are packing up and heading out in record numbers.
These will likely be some of the busiest travel days in U.S. history.
AAA estimates some 80 million people will travel this holiday week, with 90% of them expected to drive to their Thanksgiving destinations.
We do recommend Tuesday and Wednesday, try to leave early in the morning. The afternoon hours on Tuesday and Wednesday are the worst.
Many grateful for cheaper gas prices, down from a summer high. Prices falling below $3 a gallon in more than half of the states nationwide. And at America's airports, the TSA expecting to screen a record number of travelers. The FAA is also dealing with another problem, warning some airports will see slowdowns from shortages of air traffic controllers. And adding to potential headaches for those flying in or out of Charlotte, airport service workers there announcing overnight they are set to strike today to protest low wages. For all of those looking forward to spending time around the holiday table with family and friends, Mother Nature may have other plans.
Make sure you check the weather, because I had no clue that I was going to take 12 hours to get to Atlanta.
More than 17,000 flights have been canceled or delayed since Friday as snow and rain hammered the West. And more bad weather is on the way this week, with 2 storms expected to bring as much as 5 inches of snow to the Midwest and rain and cold weather expected along the East Coast.
Just be patient, enjoy the moment, you'll get to your destination safe.
And airport officials are reminding travelers to know what you can and perhaps more importantly cannot bring through airport security. A good rule of thumb, if you can spread it, spill it, pump it or pour it, then it is not a solid. You should not be bringing that in your carry-on. It's a bit of a tongue twister, Savannah, but a good one.
Yeah, we just had the head of the TSA here last week, and he said that, and it was the first time I heard it. I asked him to repeat it because I'm like, I should write that down. It's a good little rule of thumb. Emily, thank you so much. Stay warm out there. Now let's check in on your morning news now holiday forecast, get more details on what you might expect on the roads or in the skies. Michelle Grossman has the look ahead. Hey, Michelle, good morning.
Hey there, Savannah. Good morning. Yeah, we are looking relatively quiet in the east today. We do have 2 systems, though, that will impact us this week. So if you're traveling today, you're good to go from New England all the way down to the southeast. There is a cold front, though. It's stretching from Texas all the way to portions of the Great Lakes. So we're looking at rain along this cold front, especially in the Ohio Valley into the Great Lakes. On the northern part of the system, bringing in that cold air, we're seeing some snow falling in the upper Midwest, the UP and Michigan, into the northern Great Lakes. It's to the west, so we're looking at a coast-to-coast storm. Today is the first day, rain and snow along the west coast. Once again, we've seen that day after day for about a week and a half, 2 weeks straight. And we're seeing it once again, a new system moving onshore. It's going to bring lots of impacts in terms of really strong gusty winds, heavy snowfall in the Cascades, the Sierra Mountains into the northern Rockies, also some lower elevation rain. Now, remember, we're so wet there that we could see some flooding. We're going to see difficult travel expected along the mountain passes, especially with that wind blowing. And that storm is targeting the Rockies today. Now, it moves off to the east over the next several days. So by Wednesday, we're going to see this storm intensifying over the Central Plains and kind of expanding too, right? So now we're seeing the rain falling from anywhere from the Great Lakes to the Tennessee Valley, parts of the southeast as well, the Mississippi Valley. But it's going to wrap in some colder air. So we're going to see some mixed precipitation on your Wednesday. This is a tough day because this is a really busy day before Thanksgiving. We could see some freezing rain, some sleet falling. And where you see the blue, that's where we're going to see the snow falling as well. Then we get to Thanksgiving. There's that coast-to-coast storm now impacting the East Coast. So we're looking from New England all the way down to the parts of the Southeast, the Tennessee Valley and the Mississippi Valley. Rain will be falling on your parades. If you're traveling that morning, we're going to see some wet roadways. It's going to be tough in the air as well because we're going to see some breezy conditions. And notice that blue, even that white, the white is the heavier snow. So we're expecting some heavier snow in parts of New England into the interior parts of the Northeast, also along the Great Lakes. The middle of the country, you look good. You're quiet, but you're cold. We're looking at temperatures below freezing in many spots, right around freezing in other spots. Lots of 30s in Kansas City, Chicago, Denver. Sunny skies in the Southwest, and then we're going to see some cloudy skies in the Pacific Northwest. Now, as we're looking at the roadways, again, the air travel will be impacted. But we're looking at those gusty winds, the rain, the snow. So if you're traveling along I-90, I-70, I-95, I-85, I-20, it's going to be slow going, and we're going to have some troubles on Thanksgiving. So you want to kind of prepare for that. Leave early. By Friday, we're going to clear it out in most of the mid-Atlantic, most of the Northeast, but we do have potential impacts into northern New England along the Great Lakes here. You, again, could see some heavier snow downwind of those lakes. And we're going to see some coastal rains in portions of the Carolinas as well. Southeast, you could see some showers. Tampa, we're going to see some showers with mild conditions, 74 degrees. Clearing skies in the Tennessee Valley, the Mississippi Valley as well. It is chilly in the northern plains. Temperatures in the teens. You factor in the winds, it's going to feel colder than that. Just 18 degrees on Friday. If you're all your Black Friday shopping, we're looking at temperatures 12 degrees in Bismarck. And then in the Intermountain West, we will see some snow falling as well. Sunday, your return trip home, we're looking at some snow showers in parts of the Intermountain West, and we're looking at some sun and clouds throughout the Ohio Valley. But Sunday looking much quieter, with the exception of the Great Lakes. Some snow will be falling as well.
All right. Nice that it's quiet, because as you said, that's a lot of people's drive home day. Michelle, thanks so much. Sure. Well, this year, Thanksgiving, it comes after a string of E. coli and Listeria outbreaks. We've been talking to you about these. They were linked to contaminated grocery products, things like carrots and ground beef. So how safe is our food? We've got NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans here to answer that one. And I think also kind of make us feel a little bit better about all this, because it's been a lot of news, a lot of headlines. Let's start with this one that just came out over the weekend that has to do with ready-to-eat packaged meats.
Yeah, so let me tick through some important updates here. This was the CDC on Friday night warning that an infant had passed away and 9 people have been hospitalized from eating this processed ready-to-eat meat products. Yusheng Food is the name of the company. The company telling NBC News it is now implementing better food safety standards, and that a recall there remains active. Then we've also heard from the carrot company, Grimway Farms. It says that the carrots that you see on your store shelves are safe now. Okay. The use-by date is well in the past now, so what you see in your store shelves, they say, absolutely is safe. So that's important there. Those are a lot of popular brands there for the carrots. And then all of that beef, 167,000 pounds of ground beef. That company, Wolverine Packing in Detroit, it says that indeed they had sold that only to restaurants, and that they have been telling all the restaurants they sold it to pull it off the shelves.
All right. So good to know. It was not the ground beef that you could be purchasing in your store right now.
Exactly.
So not a concern when it comes to that. How concerned should we be about these outbreaks? I was saying to you before, God, it sounds kind of like a lot, you know, and a lot of things that we'd be using this time of year. Is it a big concern?
It's been about 6 weeks of these worries and warnings, and many of them have been high profile. But when we talk to food safety experts, they tell us it's a good reminder that there are 48 million cases of foodborne illness every single year. Today, hundreds of people will go to the ER with severe food illness. It happens all the time. We have a very big, complex, far-flung food system, and this is kind. I mean, food safety experts say it's a reminder that you've got to listen to these recalls and warnings. You've got to cook your meat all the way through, and if there's ever a doubt about your produce, you throw it out.
Good context, though, that it's not like this doesn't actually happen all the time. We've just, as you put it, had a couple high-profile ones that have put it on our radar. Give us some reminders about how to be safe. Cooking your meat all the way through is a great one.
Yeah, you know, I am not a fan of the rare hamburger because I've been a TV reporter and anchor for too long to be a fan of the rare hamburger. So ground meats, 160 degrees or more. Ground poultry, at least 165 degrees. And cook your fish and shellfish to 145 degrees. And food safety experts tell us that should kill E. coli in meat. But produce is much more difficult. It is more difficult to wash off produce and get E. coli. E. coli is a very dangerous and sticky thing that can make you very, very sick. And so you want to get it off you can cook it through the meat, but just throw it out if there's any kind of doubt about your produce.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the cost while we've got you of Thanksgiving food. So there's been a little bit of a concern with egg costs, also potential egg shortage. But on the other hand, there are some ways that we can save some things that are cheaper. This might be because I just became a Costco girlie, which I'm very excited about.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I'm so excited. But I feel like I just did pretty good. I did a ton of my shopping yesterday on some of those kind of staples that you need for the Thanksgiving table.
You go in for bread and you come home with a computer. That's what happens to me. When I always say, I go to Costco and I come home with a pony. $5.81 a person it should be this year to be able to pay for Thanksgiving. So the prices are down, but we just showed you egg prices. Egg prices are up, and that has to do with the avian flu. These producers are having to cull their flocks, frankly, to make sure that you're not spreading avian flu among birds. That means there's fewer eggs at a time when we're buying a ton of stuff for the holidays.
Right.
And so that's why you have egg prices up.
Otherwise, though,
prices are coming down.
All
And
right.
2 liter, we talked about this last week, 2 liter bottles of soda are down 14% from last year. So if you're at Costco or BJ's or Sam's, you can go pick up the 2 liters. The 2 liters are your friend this year.
We love it. And gas prices down, which is also good news for people on the roads. Christine, thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, President-elect Trump is filling out his cabinet, announcing a flurry of picks for top jobs in his administration. But several candidates are facing potential confirmation fights in the Senate. NBC News Now anchor and senior Washington correspondent Hallie Jackson has the latest for us.
Hey there, good morning to you. With most of Mr. Trump's cabinet-level picks now named, including former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi to lead the Justice Department and billionaire hedge fund manager Scott Bessent to serve as Treasury Secretary, the spotlight now shifts to the Senate confirmation hearings ahead, particularly for some of President-elect Trump's more controversial choices. The Trump team beginning to turn to a new phase in the transition, possible confirmation fights for the president-elect's top picks, including his choices for Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, both expected to face tough questions. Gabbard accused of amplifying Russian propaganda.
Well, I think she's compromised. Russian-controlled media called her a Russian asset.
I think it's really interesting that anybody that has a different political view now is being cast as a Russian asset. I think it's insulting. It's a slur, quite frankly.
She's also facing questions over her secret meeting with the Syrian president in 2017.
She met with Bashar Assad. We'll want to know what the purpose was.
Gabbard has rejected accusations she is a mouthpiece for the Syrian regime. Defense Secretary pick Pete Hegseth expected to be questioned over a California police report detailing a woman's sexual assault allegation, which he denies.
The matter was fully investigated, and I was completely clear.
Officials have not said why Hegseth was not charged, but he paid his accuser a settlement in 2023. Hegseth also in the spotlight for comments that women should not serve in combat roles.
We would have an ineffective military that was not capable of deployment if we were to pull out all the women and say you cannot be in combat.
The policy is set by the President of the United States, not by the cabinet members. I think Pete Hegseth will follow the lead of the Commander-in-Chief.
These latest revelations prompting questions about vetting for Mr. Trump's cabinet picks and apparently skipping the traditional FBI background checks.
Why wouldn't we get these background checks for the most important job in the United States government?
I don't think the American public cares who does the background checks. What the American public cares about is to see the mandate that they voted in delivered upon.
Pete Hegseth has already met with some senators on Capitol Hill prior to Thanksgiving break. We expect that Tulsi Gabbard, who denies repeating Russian propaganda, will do the same for her part after Thanksgiving. Back to you.
All right, Hallie, thank you so much. Well, let's turn overseas now, where Russia and Ukraine are pushing to strengthen their position on the battlefield before President-elect Trump takes office. It comes as Ukrainian investigators examine the debris of that new ballistic missile Russia launched last week. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel joins us from the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv with the latest. Richard, good morning.
Good morning. So Russia fired more missiles at this country, launching them at the city of Kharkiv. Russia firing more than 145 drones. Ukraine also launching attacks inside Russia. And this just in the past 24 hours.
With more attacks overnight in Ukraine and in Russia, this war is escalating rapidly. But is this all a race to the finish? Ukrainian intelligence are now examining the wreckage of a new type of high-speed, nuclear-capable missile that Vladimir Putin launched last week. Ukrainian officials confirmed it flew 11 times the speed of sound, too fast for Ukraine to shoot down. Putin called the launch a test and a response after President Biden authorized Ukraine to fire American weapons deeper into Russia for the first time. Putin, Zelensky, and Biden are all escalating, it seems, to secure stronger positions before President-elect Trump takes office.
If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours.
This weekend, Trump's pick for National Security Advisor Mike Waltz signaled a new policy is coming.
We need to bring this to a responsible end. We need to restore deterrence, restore peace.
Many Ukrainians also want the war to stop, but they do not believe Putin would ever honor a deal. We joined a group of soldiers who call themselves the Witches of Bucha, now taking up arms. In a forest outside Kyiv, they're training in close combat, fully expecting one day Russian troops will make another push for Kyiv.
90% of this unit are women. Many of their sons and husbands are out fighting on the front lines, so they have stepped up, volunteering to defend the capital.
Valentina, the soldiers only released their first names, is a grandmother. Her son and son-in-law are on the front lines.
President-elect Trump says that he's going to wrap up this war in a day. Do you have confidence in that?
I don't believe this war can be stopped with a negotiation, she says. Putin can't be trusted. In 3 to 5 years, he'll come back.
And that, Savannah, is a sentiment I hear all over this country. Sure, people want peace. They want to stop the violence. They want the drones from Russia to stop every single day. But they believe that even if President-elect Trump is able to secure some sort of ceasefire, forcing one down Ukrainians' throats potentially, they don't think it will last, and that Putin will just use that time to rearm and wait till he's in a stronger position to invade again.
A lot to watch for here. Richard Engel, thank you as always. Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now. A little later, we're going to take you behind the Thanksgiving travel rush. We're going to introduce you to the hardworking airport crews keeping America safe and moving this holiday season. First, though, after the break, Eric and Lyle Menendez expected to appear in court for the first time in decades today. But could their fight for freedom be derailed by a new LA district attorney? We have the latest for you up next. We are back now with the latest step in the Menendez brothers' fight for freedom. This morning, Eric and Lyle Menendez are expected to appear in court for the first time in decades after being sentenced to life in prison for killing their parents almost 30 years ago. But today's virtual appearance also comes as the brothers face a potential delay in their case now that a new district attorney is about to take office. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has been following this for us, and she is live from outside of the courthouse in Los Angeles with the latest. Hey, Liz, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. Well, this status hearing today is happening in the same court where Eric and Lyle were sentenced to life without the possibility of parole 28 years ago for murdering their parents. Their attorney says they're expected to appear virtually via Zoom from prison in San Diego. And while it is the same court venue, it is a new judge, and the brothers are hoping a new era in criminal justice as they continue to make the case they should be set free. Nearly 3 decades after the Menendez brothers were convicted of killing their parents, Jose and Kitty, for the first time in years, Eric and Lyle will be back in front of a judge, joining virtually in court today as they make their case for resentencing and release.
No one believes us.
Interest in the brothers' story skyrocketing after the release of multiple series and documentaries about the 1989 murders. Eric and Lyle's attorneys now arguing new evidence proves their claims they acted in self-defense after years of sexual abuse by their father, something they testified about during their first trial in 1993.
Did you cry?
Yes.
Were you scared?
Very.
But to this day, the original prosecutor telling Dateline their alleged abuse doesn't justify murder.
The law doesn't allow them to kill their father, even if he was a child abuser. And it certainly doesn't allow them to kill their mother.
The outgoing DA says Eric and Lyle are rehabilitated men, citing their volunteer work in prison and their personal lives as husbands. Although last week, Lyle's wife of 20 years announced they have been separated and shut down rumors of an affair on Facebook, writing, "This is not a cheating scandal," and that she is forever committed to the enduring fight for their freedom. While Eric's stepdaughter posting that the brothers are two separate individuals and that she'd appreciate it if people would consider my dad for who he is and not based on the actions of someone else. How much do you think these stories about who they are behind bars, their personal lives?
The one way that it could matter for the court is when it comes down to Eric and Lyle's credibility.
Is it possible that one of the brothers could get a resentence, not the other?
It is possible.
An attorney for the Menendez brothers has acknowledged that possibility. Today's procedural hearing will set the stage for the brothers' key hearing next month, scheduled 9 days after Los Angeles' incoming district attorney takes office and begins reviewing whether to recommend resentencing.
You need to do that extensive review of the facts and the law. Menendez's get no special treatment. They will get equal treatment.
No, California Governor Newsom has recently said he is going to hold off on making a clemency decision until after that new district attorney makes his recommendation. As for today, any true crime fans hoping to get a view of the brothers as they appear virtually in court may have a tough time. There are no cameras allowed here in the courtroom today, and only 16 seats will be open to the public, which, Savannah, they're going to be giving out via lottery.
Quite a lot of hoopla around this. Liz Kreutz, thanks for following it for us. Well, gun violence remains the #1 cause of death for kids and teens in America, according to Johns Hopkins. Well, the city of Philadelphia has been particularly hit hard by shootings. NBC News' Maya Eglin met the people behind an organization aiming to educate people about firearms while respecting their Second Amendment rights.
Ever since the pandemic hit, there's been an overflowing of just guns. I actually lost my older brother, named Ronald, due to gun violence.
Isaiah Stanton grew up in Philly, where gun violence has been a consistent issue. As of October 1st, 2024, there were 841 shootings in the city of Philadelphia. About 21% were fatal.
Why did you want to own a gun?
Just to ensure my safety, not only for me, but also for my family. Exercising my Second Amendment right.
Isaiah is part of a growing number of young people in the city who, instead of shying away from guns, is completely leaning in, despite being directly impacted by the gun violence crisis.
How many people in the room, by the show of hands, someone in your family has been affected by gun violence?
That's Terrell Crew. He and his wife, Carice, started an organization called That Gun Talk after Carice was robbed in the city.
I believe that we can make a difference and we can make the change in our community by being educated. Grip, stance, I aim, focus.
The couple says they aren't trying to completely solve gun violence or end it, but provide harm reduction educational resources to a community that's been deeply impacted by these deaths. They hosted an educational workshop and open range shooting day for Philly teens and young adults outside the city.
I think some people on the outside looking in might think, well, if you want gun violence to go down, get rid of all the guns. What's your response to that?
How would that happen? What are they going to do? Go raid everybody's house?
Good.
All right, range is hot. We're shooting. Range is hot.
Criminals will always have access to firearms. If you get rid of your firearm, then, God forbid, if you had to defend your life or your family, how would you be able to do that?
While some advocates call for a ban on some or all firearms, there's research that shows increasing responsible gun education and storage can reduce the number of suicides, thefts that contribute to the illegal gun market, and unintentional killings.
Just because you own a firearm doesn't mean that you take yourself to danger.
But Adam Garber with Ceasefire PA says education alone isn't enough and is advocating for legislative changes in the state.
I think education for the public and gun owners about what responsible gun ownership is a piece of the pie, right? It's a part of how we're going to solve this problem. At the same time, what we know is the states around the nation with the strongest gun safety laws on the books have the lowest gun death rates. So I think it's a both and situation, not an either or.
I think there is a lot of trauma and sadness within the Black community and guns with police shootings, school shootings, community shootings. How do you reconcile those two things?
Police, communities, politicians, we have to bring people together to work on these issues.
De-escalation is important, and I also go hand in hand with self-control, and just choosing a different path and just sticking towards that.
Our thanks to Maya Eglin for that report and Adam Garber of Ceasefire PA. He also pointed out that one of the biggest challenges they face in Philadelphia is that the city is preempted by the state of Pennsylvania. That means Philly can't make its own laws or ordinances. Well, coming up, inside America's heated new debate on fluoride in water. Now, Florida's top doc is weighing in, echoing some controversial claims pushed by the incoming Trump administration. We will bring you the latest right after the break. We're back now with a look at the debate about whether fluoride should be added to drinking water. Well, Florida's Surgeon General on Friday weighed in on the practice, issuing a new guidance against it. We have NBC News Now anchor Kate Snow joining us with more on what's really become a debate. Kate, good morning.
Yeah, it really has, Savannah. Good morning to you. Florida's Surgeon General is going against mainstream public health agencies, echoing sentiments expressed by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., citing research that is preliminary and far from definitive. He's calling for the state's community water systems to stop adding the naturally occurring mineral fluoride. This latest move bringing more attention to a debate that is growing louder.
This morning, Florida Surgeon General speaking out against the use of fluoride in the state's water systems, claiming there are safety concerns he believes are linked to systemic exposure.
With the information that we have now, to continue adding fluoride to water systems in Florida, it is public health malpractice.
Dr. Joseph Latipo citing controversial studies that claim fluoride is linked to neuropsychiatric risk, particularly in pregnant women and children.
Fluoride absolutely, positively can strengthen teeth. It is also the case that fluoride is neurotoxic.
About 70% of the U.S. population does have access to fluoridated water. The CDC, the American Dental Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the vast majority of dentists in America all support it, citing that it reduces tooth decay by 25%. The American Dental Association saying it unreservedly endorses the fluoridation of community water supplies as safe, effective, and necessary in preventing tooth decay. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr., tapped by President-elect Trump to lead the Health and Human Services Department, wrote on X, the Trump White House will advise all U.S. water systems to remove fluoride from public water.
I think the faster that it goes out, the better.
Legislators in Arkansas filed a bill against fluoride last week. But in Buffalo, New York, a different story. 9 years ago, the city stopped adding fluoride to drinking water and recently brought it back after public pressure and a lawsuit by parents seeking damages for their children's dental surgeries.
There's many stories of young children who have, ended up needing immediate emergency dental surgery.
Still, some, like Dr. Bruce Lamphere, argue the use of fluoride should be re-examined.
It's really critical that we need to pause and reassess all of this evidence and make sure that we're adequately protecting children.
A study in October found because so many of us have started using toothpaste and mouthwash with added fluoride in recent decades, then maybe it might not be as necessary to add fluoride to drinking water now. That is one of the things the Florida Surgeon General points out as well. One group advocating against fluoride says more than 170 communities across the U.S. have rejected fluoride, but the CDC and many agencies continue to support adding fluoride to water. Savannah, the CDC calling that policy change in the last century one of the 10 great public health policy changes in the 20th century.
Wow, a talker that will certainly remain one as we head towards President-elect Trump's next term.
For sure.
Kate, thank you so much for bringing us that. Well, airlines are working overtime, right, to prepare for what is expected to be the busiest Thanksgiving travel season ever. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello, he, of course, covers aviation. He went behind the scenes with American Airlines to find out how the company is gearing up for the holiday rush. Tom, I caught you here in New York on your way to this story. You told me that you were going to be there all night. Good morning.
Yeah, it was an all-nighter. Full disclosure, my producer pulled an all-nighter. I went to bed at midnight, but the producer and our crew up all night. Listen, think about this. 45 to 50,000 flights every single day. We wanted to see what happens to that plane when the last passenger steps off, and most of us are asleep. That's when the overnight pit crew kicks into high gear.
7:45 p.m. American tail number N954AN pulls into JFK from Chicago. As the last passengers step off, the pilots are handing over control.
Anything that we might have noticed that wasn't perfect on the way over, we report it.
Minutes later, the 737 is empty and on the move, taxiing across the runways and pulling into American's 24/7 maintenance hangar, where the overnight pit crew already has their orders.
We'll be servicing the oil, the engine oil system. We'll be looking at the igniter plugs.
They've got a long to-do list. American 737s get a workout. 10 flights each every day, carrying 1,800 passengers a day. Every 90 days, 737s must go through an overnight A-check. And routine maintenance, even at the gate, happens every night.
We got a lot of work to do, and we fly at dawn.
Edie Garces is in charge of all line maintenance. Is this like an Indy pit crew for American Airlines?
Definitely. I can tell you that our mechanics here are dedicated to do this work. They have about 8 hours of touch time to complete the work.
A nose-to-tail physical. From inspecting the flight controls to the flight deck to the passenger experience.
Check the call lights, check the reading lights, make sure the gas prevents are all good, they're not broken.
There's the cracked window shade, a broken tray table, an entertainment power unit that needs replacing, a seat track that needs tightening, and the lavatory water that needs sanitizing.
What's the most common complaint you hear from passengers about they want this fixed? They wish this didn't break.
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
In today's world, Wi-Fi.
Fixing the Wi-Fi is a top priority. So is checking all 328 USB and electrical plugs.
You know, we like to have the best appearance possible.
The clock is ticking.
Hi there. Welcome.
With 8 million passengers flying on American Airlines alone this Thanksgiving, the maintenance teams have been working ahead.
We're prepaying maintenance, doing tasks to make sure that we minimize the risk during the holiday period.
At 4 a.m. after a deep clean, they're done. N954AN pushes out of the hangar and back to the terminal for catering.
Flight 2485 to Miami.
At 7:20 a.m., Flight 2485 is boarding for Miami.
Yeah, again, so these planes go through this kind of an A-check every 90 days, but every night, half of American's fleet goes through some form of maintenance. And then every 10 years, a plane goes through a big strip down. They pull everything out, the seats, the interiors, everything, checking the frame of the plane for any signs of metal fatigue and corrosion. Savannah, you know, soda has a very corrosive effect on a plane. They got to go in and check all of that. They do that every 10 years. Back to you.
So interesting, fascinating look. Tom, thank you, and happy travels, happy Thanksgiving. Well, coming up, Price Check. When you finally wake up from that food coma this weekend, where might you be able to find the best Black Friday deals for under the tree? Our data whiz, Brian Chung. Today he's a shopping expert. He's going to break it all down up next. We're back with some financial headlines. This is a big one before the holiday season. Sony is reportedly looking to go toe-to-toe with Nintendo's Switch systems. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other news. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, Sony is reportedly working on a handheld console that can play PS5 games to rival Nintendo Switch. Bloomberg says it would also counter any potential mobile device from Microsoft, which makes the Xbox. Sony's portable console is, well, it's likely years away from launching, but the idea built on the PlayStation Portal, which Sony released last year and lets users play PS5 games by streaming them over the internet. Krispy Kreme is bringing Whoville to life this holiday season. It's rolling out a Merry Grinchmas donut collection for a limited time starting on Black Friday. And it has 3 new donuts based on characters from the iconic Dr. Seuss book, The Grinch, Grinchy Claus, and Cindy Lou Who. Now, customers can get a 6-pack or dozen at participating stores or through the Krispy Kreme app, as well as at select grocery stores. And Hollywood getting a big boost from Glicked this weekend. Wicked from Universal, a division of NBC Universal parent Comcast, topping the box office with $114 million in the U.S. and Canada, according to ComScore. That's the best opening weekend for a movie based on a Broadway musical and the 3rd best domestic debut this year. Paramount's Gladiator 2 coming in second with $55 million. The U.S. box office is still tracking about 10% below last year. There you have it.
I've seen them both. I'm majorly Team Wicked.
Oh my God, you're way ahead.
I know. I know.
I haven't seen either yet.
Wicked early. Yeah. Go see them both. They're awesome. Right. But Wicked, I can't stop thinking about it.
So I can't wait. I can't wait.
I know. It's so good. All right. Well, this week kicks off one of the most anticipated shopping periods of the year, right? Some industry forecasters predict that U.S. retail sales, could reach a record, look at your screen, $75 billion from Black Friday to Cyber Monday. So how do you decide what to buy this week? What should you hold off on purchasing? I know we're all losing sleep over this. NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung, he is going to help us out. That really is my question, Brian, is like, do things, because right now everybody's website says early Black Friday deal. And I was just saying to my husband, but what about their Cyber Monday deal? So good morning. First, just tell us which stores are already offering some of those deals, but also tell us, will they get better?
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. Do you smell that in the air? You smell like those Christmas trees and the candy canes and the hot chocolate. I also smell deals out there because a lot of retailers are already offering them. Take a look at Amazon. Amazon, they've got daily deal drops and 50% off their first Amazon haul orders. This is that brand new product where they're offering items under $20 that are almost basically directly shipped to you like Temu. Target also has a price match guarantee. One-day deals are beginning up to 50% off. And Walmart, their Black Friday deals are already starting today. So the retailers, as part of that creep when it comes to the Christmas shopping season or the holiday shopping season, it's already begun as of today, Savannah.
Oh, my goodness. Is the best week to shop deals now? And what is most likely to be on sale? But then again, tell us if we should be waiting on certain items.
Yeah, well, Adobe Analytics tracks this type of stuff, and they say that, yes, this Cyber Monday, Black Friday weekend is the best time to buy. But actually, on certain days, you'll get better deals on certain things. Again, Adobe Analytics tracking this. They say sporting goods, toys, furniture, and appliances. You might even want to shop on Thanksgiving, perhaps get on your websites while you're at the Thanksgiving table. But then on Black Friday itself, you're going to get the best deals on television. So if you need a new 60, 65-inch TV, that could be the day to get them. But Cyber Monday is really the best day for electronics and apparel. So definitely keep watch for that as well.
All right. NBC's tracked some of the most popular gift items since July. What did we find out?
Well, to your earlier question, right, there are deals happening throughout the year. So it's like, okay, how do you know it actually is the best deal? Well, we did the legwork of tracking these over time. And check this out. Super interesting trends. AirPods Pro 2s, Ninja coffee makers. If you're trying to get these for your loved ones, we actually did see some steep price declines in just the last few days. So over the weekend, we saw the lowest prices for AirPods Pros and the Ninja coffee maker below the discounting that we had seen in October and July when Amazon has their deal days now, and other retailers have tried to compete as well. So yes, this is the best time to get these types of products, but not necessarily the case for all types of things. Take a look at Reebok shoes, Magnetiles, these are hot toys for kids, and even a TCL 65-inch TV. On these two items, actually, we haven't seen the best discounts as of the last few days leading into this week. We saw some of the best discounting in the summer. So these might be things you want to wait as we get a little bit closer to not just this weekend, but even maybe after that. And TVs, you can see actually the trend here is they're pretty deeply discounted to begin with. In fact, in some times of the year, they raise the price. So yes, this could be the best time to buy, but again, stay tuned and try to keep tuned to exactly where the discounts are.
I'm telling everybody I'm a new Costco member, and you can always get a good deal on a
seen your
TV
Instagram
there.
stories. Yeah, I know how excited you are.
That's all I'm posting about. It's all I do on the weekends now. Okay, Brian, you're not just our finance guy. You're also a fashion guy. I know you love your shoes. Give us some shopping tips. You're kind of an expert.
Well, I am sartorially kind of in the know here. But look, some final shopping tips here when it comes to not just buying clothes, but really anything at all. Layer your discounts. Layer your discounts like you layer your clothes. Try to look at cashback apps. Your credit cards can offer them. Just make sure that if you're doing a lot of big spending, that you're getting some percentage back. Also, check multiple retailers and use price tracking tools. Camel is one of them. Capital One Shopping, Google Shopping, they all offer you the ability to, even if you're in the store, just kind of do a quick search. You can see, oh, you know what? Maybe I could get a better deal if I just order online. Make sure you're doing your homework, because in this type of environment, the retailers want to make sure that they trap you to get the best deal. But do you really have the best numbers? Again, look online to double check.
All right, Brian, great shopping tips. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. This morning, we're taking a closer look at the growing competition between sit-down restaurants and fast food chains. Places like Chili's and Applebee's are now offering meal deals that are cheaper than some options at places like McDonald's or Burger King. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin spoke with the CEO of Chili's about how they are doing it.
Our runner to 62.
Inside this kitchen near Dallas, Texas, they're waging an all-out food fight for your dining dollars.
I have the crispy chicken sandwich, no pickles.
That burger patty right there is more than twice the size of a Big Mac.
That's Kevin Hoffman, CEO of the company that owns Chili's.
So these are the items that are giving like McDonald's a run for their money.
So just this is just $10.99 for all of it.
$10.99 for a burger, fries, soda, about the same as a McDonald's down the road, plus an appetizer.
I still like my occasional Big Mac. I don't eat it as often because it's so expensive.
We're meeting customers where they already are, right? They're frustrated with higher prices.
So Chili's is joining the value menu wars.
See you later, tiny drive-through burger.
We saw an opening, and we said, let's just get after it.
That opening, the skyrocketing prices that made those cheaper dining options not so cheap.
Yeah, it's been very hard to justify eating at a fast food place.
Just look at this. The price of a Whopper meal at Burger King up 73% over the past decade. At McDonald's, the price of a quarter pounder with cheese meal up 122%.
If you don't stay sharp on the things that got you to winning, that's going to create a door for someone like Chili's to come in and fill that space. And that's exactly what we've done.
This year, both fast food giants had rare quarterly decreases in same-store sales. But at Chili's, they reported growth of more than 14%, even while other casual dining restaurants like TGI Fridays filed for bankruptcy. Part of Chili's success,
This cheese bowl is insane.
menu items going viral with Gen Zers, who post about some of their more indulgent appetizers.
You don't need therapy? You just gotta come to Chili's, baby.
Now other casual chains are trying to see how low their prices can go.
That's what we call a really big meal deal.
Applebee's recently launched a $9.99 value meal, and McDonald's fighting to stay in the value wars, announcing it's extending its $5 value meals into the new year. But there's a cautionary tale to these price wars. Red Lobster filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in part due to its unlimited shrimp deal. The new CEO says that deal is now gone. Why?
Because I know how to do math.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, I'll be right back.
How do you sustain these sort of prices?
It's literally business 101. We need to have a more competitive offering than what's out there.
And that may be why more people
Welcome to Chili's. Come on in.
are joining the fast food exodus. Dana Griffin, NBC News.
Coming up, serving up a second chance. After the break, we're sitting down at a London restaurant that's giving those experiencing homelessness an opportunity of a lifetime. Your reservation at a kitchen that truly cares. It's up next. Welcome back. Let's get to a story about second chances. This is amazing. It's offered by a 2-star Michelin chef. NBC News correspondent Megan Fitzgerald takes us into the kitchen of a popular posh restaurant in London where people experiencing homelessness are being hired as staff.
In one of London's most posh neighborhoods of Primrose Hill.
Oh, this is lovely.
There's a restaurant that's serving up more than just fine cuisine.
Bread for 2, table 7.
They're dishing up a second chance.
Hey, chef.
Hey, how are you? Good. Adam Simmons is a world-renowned 2 Michelin-starred chef who has worked at some of London's most prestigious restaurants. But here at Home Kitchen, he staffed the restaurant with those experiencing homelessness or dangerously close.
When you see the expressions on people's faces that are queuing up in the cold, that haven't got an opportunity, that are on the streets, for me to give a little bit of respite is huge.
Like Mahdi, who fled war-torn Somalia. He's lived on and off the streets for years.
So I was by myself, and I have to defend myself at the age of like 16. After leaving care, it didn't break, but it did damage.
Adi fled Nigeria, finding shelter wherever he could.
I have to spend my time on the long night buses.
You just sort of lived on buses?
Yes, when I was, yes.
I had to leave my country and
Lily, an asylum seeker who came here with her 3-year-old son.
Just, thinking about that days. It's reminding me that what happened to me and, feeling so bad.
But Home Kitchen gave her a second chance. She's now head waitress, and like all staff here, she gets a salary and her commute is paid for.
It changed my life, it changed my future.
This life-changing idea for the homeless came from Chef Simmons and his team while he was volunteering at a London soup kitchen. It became his mission to help because for Simmons, it's personal.
I could have been homeless through addiction, and it's personal to me because of my addiction and my journey and where I've been. I had a family that could take me back. A lot of these crew don't have that.
Simmons has been battling a cocaine addiction for years, and it's a daily fight.
I relapsed 17 days ago. I can't afford to go backwards. People have put a lot of trust in me. I need to be able to perform at the highest level and come in here with a clear head so that I can mentor people.
It's a powerful bond of trust that gives his staff confidence.
Like, we work as a team and as a family. And I feel loved here.
Has this experience changed your life?
It is, it's really changed my life.
How was the Alvarinho?
And their hard work is paying off.
The starter was really fresh, just beautiful, and main course, again, just exceptional.
It's going to be safe. Enjoy it. Thank you.
So, of course, I had to give it a try.
Delicious.
Smashing that stigma around homelessness, that's what we want to do.
Changing minds and changing lives, one meal at a time.
Just incredible. Our thanks to Megan Fitzgerald for that report. The restaurant is now in talks to open up several other spots here in the States. Well, finally, at this hour, every Friday night in southeastern Wisconsin, 4 longtime friends get together at a bar for what they call their board meetings. The guys have become social media sensations because of their printed list of topics and talking points. NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson heard some of the stories behind the agendas.
Glad you can make it, Larry. Oh, hey, good night.
If it's Friday night in Brookfield, Wisconsin,
Shall we bring the meeting to order?
You'll find these 4 guys at Bullwinkle's Bar for what they call their weekly board meeting.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yes, it's beers and banter, but for these longtime friends, it's also, these days, about their newfound fame.
Packers versus Bears quarterbacks. If you could have chosen any profession, what would it be?
See, Riley Enright, Laird Myrold, Mike Kenna, and Jim Hole have become kind of famous because of their printed lists of talking points that Riley types up each week to keep the conversation organized.
All right, Laird. New tires? Get the new tires on the Highlander.
What has been your favorite agenda item?
Soup. Just soup. I'm going to go back. My favorite agenda items are fishing.
Hey, what's your trivia question? It's probably not as interesting as mine.
Started before the pandemic, the lists became online sensations when Riley's daughter, Kenzie, posted about them on social media. So, Kenzie, what got your attention about these board meetings that your dad did?
Yeah, he invited me, and then we got there and he pulls out a stack of printed with a paperclip agendas. And I was like, this is so funny. Also so wholesome.
People loved it. People still love it. And who wouldn't, with topics ranging from cigar prices and favorite cut of steak, the ordinary, to the extraordinary, like Billy's new baby. And then there's drinks giving, of course, and nap time for age 60-plus workers. The lists getting hundreds of thousands of likes. People writing, this is the most dad thing ever, the cutest, and they need to start a podcast. Kenzie, why do you think it's resonated?
It's just a very authentic connection.
That connection, that bond, something these guys don't take for granted. What has it meant for you, Riley, that there's a whole community of strangers out there who love to see you and love to see this?
I feel actually good. I'm not the most sensitive guy in the world, I will admit that, but this actually warms my heart.
Our thanks to Hallie Jackson for that report. Maybe some inspiration if you get together with old friends over the holidays. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Thanks for starting your week with us. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.